Alright, let's see if I can get this in here. So I just got 2 screws on each support, and it feels pretty solid. I don't think we're sacrificing anything compared to this design here. So I mean, time will tell, just like anything, but I think we're good. Next, we are going to move on to seat support. So it'll be right up here. You can see them on this guy, this piece right across here. So on my first stool, which is this one, very first one I built, this particular seat was actually a couple pieces glued together that the outer pieces, you can actually see the lines right here. So right here, and right here. So 3 pieces of wood glued together. And I had them without this seat support here. So what ended up happening, I forget which one it was, but one of these outside pieces broke off because the glue, you know, that's a lot of weight for the glue to hold. And so then I came up with this support idea, which is just slightly less longer than the seat itself. Re-glued it, and then of course, so the support goes this way, and my lines go this way, so they're not. I'm not putting stress on those glued pieces. The stress is all on the end pieces lengthwise. If that makes sense. Can you see that? Yeah. And then of course knock that over. So pieces are running this way, support's running this way, perpendicular, to give support. So those are, again, our cheat sheet, those are 11, where'd it go? 11 inches in length, and there's 2 of them. So I'm going to cut those out. Okay, so because these are going on the main post, just like our feet. Oh, sawdust in my eyes. I swear I was wearing PPE. See? PPE and safety squints. How did it get in? Because it's going on a main pole, just like the feet, we're gonna have to do the same thing where you take off 3.5 from our 11, which is what, 6.5? Yeah, 6.5. Then divide that by 2. Just 3.25, right? Yeah. So then you measure 3.25 from each end, draw a line it up on your post, screw it in there. So I'm going to do that off camera, so I don't bore you to death, and I will show you when they are attached. Cool? Warned you about math. 11 minus 3.5 is 7.5. 7.5 divided by 2 is 3.75. Yeah. Carry on. Alrighty, we got our seat support in. So you can see, I don't know if I mentioned before, I like to use reclaimed wood. So you can see that my 4x4 had a bit of a oopsie on that particular corner, so I had to squeeze my screws in a little bit as compared to this side. It's no big deal. Again, this is really overkill. I like to overbuild things. So this is way more support than you're ever really going to need unless you are a much larger gentleman than I. In which case, it's still probably plenty. So the last bit to do, and this is where it starts getting a little more complicated. I don't even have it on here, but I do remember because I just built another one recently. So I have a I did write it down here. Seat, very bottom. I have a big old length of 1x8, and we need to cut 2 of those to 14 inches, and that will get us a nice big, well, it'll be a square piece, but we cut it into a circle, very much like you saw on this one. So I'm gonna get those cut out and start gluing. Yeesh. Not my best cuts, but they'll do. Okay, so this is where you get to watch me struggle. I use just good old Elmer's wood glue. I've never had any problems with it outside of the one thing I told you about on the old seat, which that was just a matter of physics. Glue can only do so much. In this case, we're just taking, hopefully you can hear me okay from over here. We're just taking these two pieces here, our two 14-inch pieces, and all I'm going to do is tilt them up like this. I'm going to put a bead of glue on each piece. I'm going to flip them back down. I'm going to push them together. I've got clamps on standby, and I'm just going to do the best I can with the clamps. I used to have 4 clamps, which is really better. You want to get even pressure. So if you don't know, when you apply clamps, what will happen is it'll kind of bow your whatever you're clamping a little bit. So you want to have even clamps on both sides to kind of keep it straight. So me only having 3 because I broke my 4th one, it'll probably get a little cattywampus. It's no big deal. This one here, yeah, it's on there. So this is the last one I built. I had that problem with this one where it was a little bit bowed out, but it was no big deal. I was able to screw that to the bottom, and it's been fine ever since. So here we go. Watch me struggle. We are recording, right? Yep. If you don't like getting your hands dirty, then this isn't the job for you. Just put a nice bead across both sides. And I just take my finger, and you want to try and spread that glue across the whole side, the whole edge of the board, so that there's no bare wood. You want it to be all glue. All this being said, I'm no expert. This is just what works for me. Okay. Real quick, wipe that off. Alright, let's see if I can do this with any semblance of intelligence. That there. There. So, start bringing that together. So I'm going to leave that kind of sort of loose for now until I get a second clamp on there. So I'm going to bring this guy in, come on the opposite side, do the exact same thing. So you won't be able to see it from over there, but as soon as I put that second one on, I could see the bowing. It went burt. So now I'm going to take this guy and stick him on the opposite direction, and that will help. It won't fix it. I really should have a 4th clamp, but like I said, we're doing the best we can with what we got. Actually, what I should do is wipe some of that glue off first. Hold on. If you don't know, if you've never done it, wood glue is a pain to sand off afterwards. So if you can get a lot of excess off before you have to sand, it will save you a lot of trouble. God, this is not great. Not great. So now, got a pretty good amount of pressure on there. Now I'm just going to try and get some of this dang glue off, man. It's kind of a double-edged sword, because if you don't use enough glue, then what's the point in using it? But kind of if you use the right amount, the freaking cleanup is torture. So, as you can see, that's bad lighting, sorry about that. So that's kind of what it looks like. If you can catch the side, we're doing okay. It's okay, we can probably deal with that in sanding. You can kind of tweak here and there and then play with your clamps. That's just, oh wow. That's not what you want. That clamp just slid, so that's not helpful at all. So anyways, I'm going to sit here and fidget with this. I usually let glue sit for 24 hours, so I will probably see you guys tomorrow. Okay, so it is the next day. Our glue has dried overnight, and I think we got away with it. It's relatively pretty straighter than I'm used to. As you can see, there's a little discoloration where the glue was. And try and sand all that out. I got one spot where it kind of collected. Maybe I can chip that off before I try and sand. So I'm not going to bore you with watching me sand. I think this is going to end up being like a two-part video anyway. So, because right now I started working on it last night. It's like 30 minutes. So, anyways, nobody wants to watch all that all at once. So I'm going to sand this. I'll come back and I'll show you how we're going to get our circle. Okay, I got most of the glue off. We can leave the rest for until after I cut this out, because we have to sand the edges anyway. So this is pretty simple. All I'm going to do, there's a couple ways you can do this, right? So if this is like your first one, then you could just find the center, do the whole, you know, put a pin and a string with your pencil and do a circle that way, or just freehand-it or whatever. Find some way to do it. It's not super complicated. All I've been doing, since I have more than one, is I'm going to set this down on a flat surface. I'm going to grab one of these other ones. I'm going to set it down on top. I'm going to even it out. I'm just going to trace that bad boy. And then we're going to cut it out with a jigsaw. Like I said earlier in the video, don't be put off by the fact that I'm using power tools. The first one I made, this one right here, I made with these. Yes, it took forever. Yes, it was a pain, but I did it. This is like 10 bucks. It comes with a little jig box. This was maybe $5, I think. Might have been more. A couple clamps from Harbor Freight. This guy here. They're not expensive, man. So maybe another 10 bucks, maybe. You can do this. You know, again, this is just to keep your hands busy. This is just to keep from laying around the house watching YouTube. Busted. So, let me get this traced out and cut out and sanded, and I will show you, not the finished seat, but at least the roughed out seat. Can't talk. Stick around. Okay, so I got her cut out. I've got her relatively sanded. I don't really go for anything special. I just try and round off the edges so it's not, you know, cutting into your leg when you're sitting on it or anything like that. My plan is to do this one very much like this last one here. I'm going to try and do the American flag on it. My stars didn't turn out so great on this one, so I'm going to try something different on the other one. And something else I'm going to do differently is on that other one, I painted everything before I screwed it down. Then of course I had 5 screws that didn't match the colors. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to paint this the base coat of white, then screw it down, and then paint it, and then hopefully everything will turn out better. I am probably going to show that part in this video, so I'll do the base coat and then mount it so you can see it, kind of half-assed completed, and then I think I'll break off into a third video just to do the painting part. So stick around. Alright, so our base coat is dry, as you can see right here. Go ahead and show you. So When I first started making these, I would put a larger number of screws in the seat. And then I got to thinking why. All I'm doing is holding that down. It's not like it's going anywhere. So 5 screws is plenty. I'm going to go ahead and break the rest of it essentially off into a separate video. But you can leave, at this point, like you didn't even have to paint this, really. This is just more of an extra step that I like to do. The first couple of these that I made, I stained them and then clear coated, like you saw on this guy. And then the third one I made, I think I just painted it black. It's over there. And then you saw the last one I did has got the American flag on it. I'm probably going to do the same. Not probably, I am. I'm going to do the same thing, American flag on this one. Hopefully with better, more well-defined stars, which I'm going to break off into a separate video that will probably come out after this one. But I do want to, once again, encourage you to get your hands busy. Don't sit so idle watching YouTube all day. I'm just as guilty as the rest of you. I spend a fair amount of time watching YouTube. I find it far better than most pre-written programming these days. However, you still need to get out and do your own thing. You have to live your own life. You can't live vicariously through others in everything. So again, I'll encourage you to do something. In this case, I do a fair amount of woodwork. Just something I'm familiar with. Just something to keep your hands busy. Getting into this stuff is relatively inexpensive. I know it seems daunting when you look at the number of power tools that you could buy that would speed the process along, but even depending on what your budget is, so like that jigsaw I think was 30 bucks, maybe 40. That table saw or chop saw, rip saw, I forget what the hell it's called, doesn't matter. That thing was $100 on sale at one point. And that's really the only power tools I used. But even then, like I showed you earlier, you can grab a hand saw and a hand jigsaw for much cheaper. And it'll take a little longer, but it'll still get the job done. So get your hands dirty, keep them busy, keep them out of the devil's playground. Anyways, thank you for watching. Stick around if you're curious about the paint job, but if you've seen some of my other videos, it's going to be somewhat similar. It'll be pretty brief because this is pretty relatively simple paint job. We'll see. See you on the next one. Bye.